Hey everybody, welcome to the Cripescast. This is the podcast where we talk to people for and or from the Midwest. I'm your host, Charlie Behrens, and here is this week's episode. And also, we are presented and powered by Everlight Solar. Folks, welcome to the Cripescast. This week, my guest is Kathleen Madigan. You've known her from her 30 years of doing stand-up, just a staple of the comedy industry for so long. She's currently on the 2024 Potluck Party Tour. She's got 6 comedy specials, shooting her 7th in 2025 in Milwaukee. She chose Milwaukee for a special, with I think is very special for someone from Missouri, you know, but she and I actually had a lot in common. We both grew up in big Catholic families. She loves the Midwest. She loves fishing, small towns, casinos. I really enjoyed talking to Kathleen. She's the kind of person that you, I had never met her before this interview, and she's the kind of person that I feel like I've known forever. So it was just such a treat, such a joy to talk with Kathleen. And I hope you guys enjoy the conversation. I think you will. Before we get to that, we are still, of course, raising money for Doctors Without Borders. You can check them out, doctorswithoutborders.org, or you can follow me at Doctors Without Borders. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, here is my conversation with the great Kathleen Madigan. So how you been?
I've been good. Busy, working every weekend. I'm looking forward to a week off.
What do you do on your weeks off?
Well, I need to reorganize my fantasy football team for sure.
What's going on with it?
Well, I'm winning, but there's just too many people hurt. And then I wake up on Tuesdays and go, oh my God, I got to do all this stuff. And then I think, what if this was like real? You know, what if I was the coach of a team where all this shit actually happened? And then, I mean, it's not even real, but I just haven't had the right amount of time to do that. That's what I would do. And then I would golf and I would go fishing, because now it's fishing time. I want to go fishing.
I definitely want to talk about fishing.
Okay.
But at first, I just want to touch on that fantasy football thing. Do you feel like, with your experience in fantasy football, that if given the chance, you could step into a role of coach of an NFL team? If given a chance?
Well, no. No, I don't really know anything. I mean, I feel like I could maybe help. But see, I don't understand how they know all those plays and how they memorize all that stuff. I'm just like a hack. I watch every game, but I don't understand, like, I understand Dallas doesn't have a running game. I get that. Like, I watch First Take. I love Stephen A. Smith because he hates the Cowboys as much as I hate the Cowboys. So I watch that. But really, I don't hate the Cowboys. I hate Jerry. It's Jerry. Yeah, it's just Jerry.
Jerry he's the epitome of a guy who feels like you can just buy the American dream and then that's it. You know, that's kind of his vibe. Like, I remember they're trying to figure out who's America's team, and it was between the Steelers and the Cowboys and the Packers. And I'm a Packers fan. So it was like the Packers there. It's a team owned by the people. You know, and the Steelers, right. It's like badass, sort of, you know, Rust Belt, sort of been through some stuff. And then it's the Cowboys. It's like Jerry just had a lot of money and said, I want a football team, you know?
Right.
It's like,
I also think it's that I'm always amazed by people who think they are definitely smarter than everybody in the room, even while this whole scenario is playing out where you're clearly not. But yet he's still like, he walked into that locker room before anybody last night. Get out of the locker room, dude. Like, Mike McCarthy, you can't, if you're Mike McCarthy, you just had to know that. And then it makes me not respect Mike McCarthy, because I think the only person that could tell Jerry to just fuck off would be like a Bill Belichick.
Right.
Maybe. And that's a maybe. I still think, did you see him land his helicopter at their practice last week? Jerry?
No, I'm off. I'm out of the loop on how much of a D-bag Jerry Jones is. I did not know.
Well, I mean, you know, what are you doing? It was last week. If you go on Twitter, just put in like helicopter Jerry Jones. It'll come up. They're trying to have a practice like normal people. Yeah. And, you know, Jackie Jackstraw flies in and lands and stops the practice. It's like, I feel sorry for Cowboy fans, because you're stuck with him, and his son looks like him. They're like Russian dolls. They never stop. It's a whole box of Jerry Joneses. Even the grandkids, I'm like, oh my God, they're little blonde square headed things too. It's like, it'll never end until the family sells the team.
And do you think they're actually gonna do that?
No,
Or do you think it's gonna?
Not anytime soon that I've heard of. And I think the son sits there with him week after week, and it's the same person.
Yeah, that's not a good deal. I'm trying to find this. Oh my God, this is obnoxious. I'm just watching this helicopter clip right now. What the hell? Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. I mean, it's tough when you have that much money because you can sit there and say, "Should I take the helicopter over there?" That'll show them I mean business.
Right.
When in reality, you're so disconnected from reality that you don't even know that that's like
a disturbance. You're just disrupting crap. And it's going to be, here he comes. It's going to take an hour out of the day. Like, here he comes. Then he lands, and then he's got to bullshit with everybody, and then he's got to take off again. You can't be like running routes around a helicopter while it's on.
No, in fact, that's very dangerous. You can get sucked up into that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all he needs is one less player.
Right. Yeah. And those helmets are good for concussions, apparently better, but they do not stand a chance against a helicopter blade. That's for sure.
So. I don't think so. Yeah. So that's what I will be doing on my week off, trying to find a better running back.
Good for you. Fishing?
I'm going to be fishing and then maybe golf with little Brian Dorfman. Do you know Brian Dorfman, who owns Zanies down here?
I do
He's
know
my
Brian.
Little friend. Yeah. Yes. He's a diehard golfer until it gets below 40. Then he chickens out.
Tell Brian to just get a big coat, you know?
He's for a hockey guy who played hockey his whole life, he has no tolerance for cold weather. Tell him
he's got to wear more than that hoodie that he always wears.
The same hoodie over and over. I'm like, dude, you're 57. Can we just get you a different hoodie? Can I get you one from some fancy golf course or something? No.
He's like the Bill Belichick of sort of comedy club guys. You know what I mean?
He said he had to go to a wedding last week, and I'm like, I hope it's dress casual attire because I don't even think he owns anything else. Yeah, I can't picture him at all like in a sport coat or a suit jacket or no. In fact, I should ask him. I want to see pictures of what he wore: Lululemon golf pants and some sort of fancy hoodie.
Yeah. He's a great guy. He's a great dude.
And he's a good golfer, and he's fun and he's fast. So that's why I like golfing. Yeah, he plays fast. Nice. Like, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to be a caddy, so I know I know how to play fast. I do not play good. I play very bad, in fact.
That fast is the most important thing.
Yeah, I'll just sometimes just pick it up and walk.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
You know,
right?
No one even cares. That's the thing with golf, though. Is like you get out there to relax, and as soon as you're out there, you're like, shit, they're coming up on us. You know, where they're halfway through that hole. You know, and then it just ruins it can ruin like 6 holes of your relaxation time.
Yeah, it's better to just let them go. But then you look behind them, and then there's another group behind them, and you're like, what's the point of letting them go? Because there's just going to be another group up my ass. But that's only – I don't really have any friends that play slowly anymore. And if the sand isn't perfect, I'll just throw it out and go, you know what? Professionals don't put up with this shit. Why would I put up with a muddy sand trap? That's bullshit. I just throw it out.
You just throw it out of the sand trap.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was an option.
Why not? I mean, would Tiger Woods play in a mud hole? No. Well, why does Kathleen have to? I just throw it out. That's how we go faster, though. There's no reason to spend 18 shots in a mud hole bunker when you could just throw it out. And, if you want to give yourself a stroke for doing that, do it. But if not, play on.
I feel like golf should maybe be reimagined. There's 18 holes. Okay.
That's too many. Yeah.
That's too many. And everybody's up your ass to get done with it fast enough. But what if you just did I think 4.5 holes is the ideal amount of golf.
Oh, I was going to go 12.
Oh, so I'd say 4.5. You say 12. We'll meet in the middle, 9 3/4. I can't do math,
all
but but why 18? Does anyone know the history of that? Who thought that would be?
No, I don't know. Maybe they just had so much land in Scotland. They just were just keep going. And it was the rich people, so they had no jobs. So you had all day. It was only they're super rich that played it, like a king and his little court of people. I think they just had the time. And what else? They didn't have cable. They didn't have football. They didn't have there wasn't really much else to do in 1490.
Right. Yeah. Well, probably fight some wars somewhere, but I mean, I don't know when Braveheart, I don't know exactly what year that took place. Probably like well before, well after. But even the Kings, they weren't getting out there and doing that, were they?
Know. No, they weren't going. No, not until it got super weird. And then they probably didn't go either. They were playing golf.
Yeah. And nobody ever really saw a king up close back then anyway. So they probably just sent somebody with kind of messed up teeth and a good crown, a good head holder, and put a crown on them and sent them on a big horse. No one was going to look that close.
No, there'd be no way somebody saw an oil painting of that guy. No way. Yeah. Because the oil paintings of that guy were in the castle. And you're never getting in the castle anyway. So the only people that really knew what he looked like were his family and maybe 20 friends.
Right. So
foreign dignitaries might have known. Other kings. That's why when Greg Norman said he was going to change the game of golf, I'm like, well, we kind of made up our minds on that in 1490. I don't really think you can come along in 2024 and say this is now golf. No. Now you can adjust golf as we know it, like you're saying, but to change it to where all the things that live golf is and isn't, no, it's too late. No, Greg, it's not going to work. It's not working. I didn't think it would work, and it's not working.
It's sort of one of those things where, like, how like they say we have a hard time with technology because we haven't evolved. We evolve slower than the technology. It's kind of the same thing with golf. Like we've been expecting to like evolve to like a Scottish king for all this time, and nobody's even close to that place in their life, So it's
maybe Trump because he has his own course,
and that would actually make sense. That would make sense. Yeah, that guy for sure can play golf all day, and I think sometimes he does. And
nobody's on his ass because the Secret Service makes sure that like there's no foursome behind him with their hands on their hip going, come on, man. No.
I mean,
he's the only one that beat. Well, maybe Tiger. He has his own courses. He can do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Is he good at golf? I don't even know. I see.
I think he's okay. But I mean, I've seen videos of shanks of his. Like he's good enough for the weekend, But is he like good? I don't think so. No, I think they just go get that ball and bring it back to him. I mean, if that's good, then he's good. Like if you want to lie about your score, he always says he won his club championship, right? Because you own the club and you said so.
So, you got a big family and I got a big family. So we got that in common. We both grew up Catholic and we got that in common. So we got a lot, and both Midwest. So you consider Missouri Midwest, right?
I do, but that's what I love about the Midwest, because the Midwesterners are asking other Midwesterners, what is the Midwest?
Right.
Like when the Dakotas put themselves in our group, I'm like, really? You guys think I never even consider them when I say the Midwest. And sometimes I have a problem with Ohio. It's a little easty-weasty for me. I think of the line we are in, the Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois. I'll give Illinois. And then I don't know, that whole strip of North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas. To me, you guys are, once you left Kansas City, you're now in a plains state. Like that's the plains to me. That's not the same. But then, I would feel bad if the Dakota people didn't include Missouri. So I don't want to make them feel like shit that we don't really think they are.
No,
but
go ahead.
But like people, this is the craziest thing of what people on the coast think of the Midwest. Like I told Comedy Central this 100 years ago when they had those half-hour specials. I didn't know you could design your own set. Nobody told me that. So they just saw that I was from Missouri and put like a wheat field with a silo and a windmill deal as my set. And I was like, that's not really like St. Louis or Missouri, But okay, I mean, I didn't bitch about it. It kind of made me laugh, but like that's Kansas to
Yeah.
me. That's a
Yeah.
plains state. Like that's Nebraska. I think we should have a meeting of the Midwesterners where we all decide like some sort of conference and make it right in the middle, which would probably be like Des Moines. We should go there.
Yes.
And decide who counts, who doesn't, who would like to be removed, who would like to stay. Ohio, do you want to be part of the East Coast? Or I think they think they're from the Midwest.
For sure, Ohio does. I mean, look, Ohio. Let's start with Ohio. Ohio is a very weird one because you have part East Coast, part Midwest, part South, and you hear Southern accents in Ohio all the time. I think it is pretty Midwest. It's just a bizarre one. I just did 4 shows in Ohio this past week. They all definitely think they are Midwestern, and I think rightfully so. But there is some weird stuff going on here, you know?
Well, it's that close to Kentucky at the bottom, and Missouri is that close to Arkansas at the bottom. Like if you ask anybody south of St. Louis, I would think they would say they think they're Southern. But if you go St. Louis, Kansas City, or North, we all say we're Midwestern. And in the Civil War, they were. I mean, we were a divided state. And we just beat the shit out of one another. And we never even got involved in the larger conflict. We just beat each other up.
Missouri has such an interesting history with that.
Yeah, fight local. That was the bumper sticker. Fight local. Yeah. just go 12 miles south and beat the shit out of that guy. And then come back home. It's very confusing. And it's always amazing to me how close Ohio is to Kentucky. And then when I go across the bridge to Covington, there's that awesome area down by the river with the big old grand like Southern homes. It looks like you're instantly transported to the South.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, I would live here because the taxes are cheaper. And there's these beautiful Southern homes with river views but Ohio people seem to feel against that. Like they'll stay in Cincinnati and then Ohio gets so close to Pennsylvania that now you're an East Coast area.
Well, and see, I gotta say, there's some places in Pennsylvania that feel sort of Midwest, though. You know,
well, Pittsburgh does. Pittsburgh feels very, very working class. I mean, now it's gotten a lot of upgrades. I think Pittsburgh is like one of the best kept secrets in the whole country. The museums, the Andy Warhol Museum. You can walk around downtown. You can walk over to a game. It's a great downtown. I think it's totally. Maybe they want to keep it a secret, but they need if they had a really good PR department, they could get a lot more tourists for a weekend. Yeah. Midwest people that would go, hey, like my sister and her friends are always like, well, we need a weekend trip. Where should we go? And then they'll ask me and I'm like, Pittsburgh. And they're like, yeah, okay. Do you have any other ideas? I'm like, no, listen to me. Trust me on this. You'll have a blast. It's great. There's a million things to do, but Pittsburgh seems Midwest to me. yes, even though it's kind of not.
Yeah, it's definitely that. It's almost like the sort of the East Coast, you know, had a love child with the Midwest, while Canada sort of cucked. It's a weird mix and hodgepodge there, you know. Yeah, and I do like the bridges. Those
bridges are great. Yeah. And for people who are like, before we had phones, when I would have to go there for the funny bone or whatever, and I'm not really good with directions. The thing is, they painted all the bridges different colors, which is so smart because they just go find the pink bridge, Kathleen. Well, I can do that. Like if you go to other cities, they all are the same color. I'm like, finally somebody went yellow, make it yellow. And then people will understand. Poor bad drivers will get it. It was very helpful. And they're pretty at night too. And then there's that incline thing you can take up to the Mount, I think it's called Mount Adams, right? You go up that thing.
Yep.
And then there's like this cool little, I don't even like jazz bars, but there were a couple up there that were just super fun, like weird, like funky, like I couldn't even, it's a wonderful town. People should go on a little
vacation recommendation. Yeah.
Yeah. For Midwest people that want to drive somewhere or even fly, take a Southwest quick flight. It's a great, but people forget about it.
Totally. So a lot of untouched gems that you kind of find touring around. What do you think about Indiana in this Midwest conversation?
I don't
You have no
know where
opinion.
I don't know where to put it. I feel like it belongs to the East, but it doesn't.
Really? No, it's right there.
And they're far. It was like a lot of farmers, and I mean, Indianapolis is on its way. It's getting cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like because they were farmers, there's not a ton of people compared to like Ohio. Ohio, we could go in one weekend. I could work Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Akron, Dayton, and none of them would even affect the other shows.
Yeah.
Like they're all their own thing. But Indiana, you're kind of going to run out after Indianapolis, then Bloomington, maybe.
Bloomington, Evansville. You can do
Evansville. Yeah, but none of those are going to be people-wise as much as Ohio's like fourth choice.
No.
There's
Ohio is
so
tons
many people.
You ever played Van Wert, Ohio?
No, I don't even know where that is.
Oh, it's in Ohio. That much I know.
I believe I just did. I'd never ever been to Marietta, Ohio. Do you know where that's at?
No.
I didn't either. It's about 2 hours south of
the city you were at before.
Cincinnati. But it was the most adorable downtown, but it was like a Hallmark downtown with a little bit of meth. There was just a little bit of meth.
Just a scotch of meth.
Yeah. But it was cute. And the show was great. And they all have one old theater that's just awesome. That's like from the early 1900s, and they all have the same history where they're like, oh, we opened in the 20s, and it all gets to the 70s, and they all turned to porn for a solid decade. Yeah. And then they came back in the 80s. They got funding from somewhere and then restored them all. And now they're all back like with regular shows.
That is hysterical because that is the exact trajectory of every theater I feel like I've ever played in the Midwest, you know? It's
everywhere too. It's the whole country. I mean, even California or whatever, they're like, then the porn thing. And I guess we didn't have cable and we didn't have the internet. So if you wanted to see porn, you had to go to a theater, which is kind of an upgrade for what is not really an upgraded thing per se. It's not like the opera. I'm going to go watch some porn at this beautiful theater. And but they all have every tiny town that has a main street has some sort of theater. And it's usually the smallest ones are like 700 seaters. So they're not small. Most are 12 to 1,700.
They're similar to churches in a lot of ways of like, you're like, holy, like you look at the architecture of these churches and these theaters and you're like, where the hell did this money come from? And you're like, because we don't build stuff like that anymore. We don't build beautiful churches anymore. We don't build beautiful theaters really. I mean, some to a degree, but not like the way they did, you know?
It seems like there was a rich person always involved in the town.
Okay.
Like each town had some rich guy or lady that would just then benefactor all the money, and then boom, it appeared. And then that person ends up dying, you know, and then how do we keep it going? Because Frank with all the moolah is gone. If his kid ain't going to give us the money, then I think they all kind of went a little nutty. They turned into movie theaters after live stuff. Like when movies came out, like in the 50s, 60s, and then the 70s porn thing. I think it's that they just didn't have any money. I don't know. But there's a lot of them.
I'll tell you this. If there was a history documentary on theaters in America, like small local theaters, I'd watch at least 45 minutes of it. That's how interested I am in this conversation right now.
I would too, to see how they did the city. A lot of it's the city decided to save it. But that's taxpayers' dollars. But why not? I would. If you're like, hey, Kathleen, we're going to take 1,000 out of your 3,000 you sent in to rebuild the theater. So cool people come here. That'd be great. Yeah.
I'd be okay with that too. I don't know. So, but you know, that wouldn't pass for everyone. But still, you should at least, I don't know, offer as an option. Yeah.
You know what we build now instead? We build sports stadiums instead.
That is true. That's
where the money goes. And if you don't build them, your downtown is going to go just to dog shit. It's like it's a gun to our heads. If you don't pay the ransom, your city's going to, I mean, they bring in so much money, the sports things that, you know, I mean, St. Louis, we lost 2 football teams, and I can tell you it, you know, it has an effect on the downtown. I mean, great, we have the Cardinals, but all winter long, we don't have anything. Why would you go downtown?
What did it do to St. Louis when the Rams left?
Oh, it's terrible because like all the restaurants and all the out of town people would come. Let's say the Bears are playing the Rams, you know, then the Chicago people would come and the hotels were full. So now we've got all winter long where those rooms aren't being bought. And then nobody's going to dinner. Nobody's going to lunch. Usually they'd make a weekend out of it. They'd at least come down Friday for set because the game's on Sunday, you know, be there situated by Saturday. It's a big blow. I mean, I hate that they have that power, but they do. Yeah, and if your city loses it, it's a big old blow. Stuff will start closing. You'll see it all happen right in front of your face.
Yeah, they just did with the Brewers up in Milwaukee, where I'm from, and they were like, "Yeah, you guys got to put like, I don't know, 20 million or 20 billion. Who even knows? I couldn't even tell you which one it was. You know, like, and they're like, if you don't do it, we're sending your team like to friggin' San Antonio or something. You know." And it's exactly that. It's a and then you got the politicians. They can't agree on much, but on this one, they were like, we should probably do this. You know, we don't know what are people going to do with all that tailgating energy all summer long if we don't.
Yeah, and you're getting tourists. My brother and his guy friends all just had a guy trip from St. Louis. They drove up to see the Brewers play the Cardinals. So there's 5 guys staying at the casino. And they're all going to spend shit tons of their spending money. And then they went to the Brewers game. Like, if you lose it, it's bad. I hate that they have the power, but they do. So, like, whatever they asked, I would just tell everybody, yeah, we got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
even though it's kind of bullshit, because the ones that stand up to them, we did it. Well, I'm just here to tell you, it didn't work.
Yeah. That's the other end of the train. You should negotiate with the terrorists in the athletics department, you know?
No.
Yeah.
So that's what we build instead of theaters. Now we build giant. In Nashville, they're building the Titans a new stadium because they do kind of need one. I mean, the first time I went to a Titans game, I'm like, oh, wow, there's like college stadiums that are way, way bigger than this. And there's no seats in the end zones. It's just open air. And there's no roof, which is fine till like December, but you're not going to get a Super Bowl with no roof.
Right.
I wonder, like comics, we go into places and we're like, oh, this is a nice green room. And oh, they did all this stuff and it's really cool. And then you go to some dump where you're like, oh man, I think football players probably walk into the current Titans stadium and they're just like, oh my God, look at that phone on the wall. What is that for? Like all this outdated shit. It's fun to go because I feel like I'm at a college game and you're drinking beer outside. When the weather's nice, it's awesome. But, you know, I'm not going to go watch the shitty Titans in the rain to spend $100 and $14 on a beer. No, and Nashville's a boom town. Like they got to do it. But I don't even know billions. I read the articles and then I'm bad at math and then it gets too hard. And I just know we're going to do it.
Yeah.
But you have to.
I'm surprised the Titans didn't just build one better because they were like an expansion team. They came around like the early 2000s or something?
I don't know. It's been 20 years.
Yeah, something.
And they're still terrible. I mean, and then there's this, I should probably do a version of this in my act. There's this guy, Matt, and he works for the Titans, right? And sometimes if I buy StubHub tickets, it goes through the NFL system. So the NFL knows I bought 2 Titans tickets. They know I did it and they have my phone number and they have my email, right? So every Monday, this guy, Matt, calls everybody on that list, I suppose, but he definitely calls me. I mean, we're on a first name basis now. And every week he calls to try to sell me season tickets. And I'm like, every time I watch a Titans game on Sunday, I'm like, oh, Matt's going to want to kill himself because tomorrow he's going to pick up the phone and have people just yell at him. And I'm like, Matt, I would love to buy season tickets if you can tell me we have a different quarterback I've never heard of. Is there a new person? And he'll go, well, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. It's still Mr. Levis, but we have a lot of hope. I'm like, well, then that's sad, Matt. You shouldn't have hope in Will Levis. He's terrible. But this guy's life, and this is like the third year in a row Matt has had this job. How long till Matt becomes a raging alcoholic or a heroin addict? You can't go into work and go, I have to call Kathleen again. Yeah, you do. You have to call like probably 80 other people on a list. And most of them aren't going to be nice and silly. I'm at least trying to make his day funnier, but he won't. He's so upset. It's about, well, today's a Monday. Oh, it's a holiday, though. He probably won't call till tomorrow.
Yeah.
I look forward to his number. I look at my phone. I'm like, it's Matt.
That is such a great bet. Like the dude trying to push season tickets for insert bad team, Right. That is so good.
And he has to do it on Mondays after the game, after a slaughter. I told him one time, I go, Matt, you know what a better strategy for you would be if you could tell your bosses? Maybe Thursday. Because
that's where hope lives.
Hope lives on Thursday. Because what if there's Thursday night football, Matt? And then we're all geared up like, yeah, the Titans can do this. We can beat the Colts. Sure, why not? The Colts aren't that good. They got an old man quarterback. Let's do that. But Monday, it's a terrible idea.
Come on. It's when the Monday morning quarterbacks are in full force. Excuse the interruption, folks, but I want to let you know I'm coming to Chattanooga, Tennessee, Birmingham, Alabama, and Atlanta, Georgia on November 14th, 15th, and 16th, respectively. More dates to come. You can get your tickets at cripescast.com/tour. And folks, I want to let you know that this podcast is sponsored by Everlight Solar. Everlight Solar powers the Cripescast studio. It has been powered for so long now, and I got to tell you, it is great. The power bills are low. The help to the environment is high. So if you want to get Everlight solar panels on your roof, just go to everlightsolar.com and get a free consultation. No harm, no foul, folks. Give it a go. See if solar panels are right for your home. And also, ladies and gentlemen, Fleet Farm. I got to tell you, deer scents are in the air and blaze oranges everywhere, which can only mean one thing. It is time for hunting. And Fleet Farm is here to help you gear up for a successful season. Orange Friday is Fleet Farm's annual kickoff to hunting, and there's no place better to ramp up the excitement for hunters in the Midwest. Doors will open at 6 a.m., and they'll have free Orange Friday hats to give away. Big buck scratch-offs that can get you up to 50% off, and deals on the best hunting gear you can find. To see all the deals and find your store's Orange Friday date, visit fleetfarm.com/events. And finally, folks, thank you so much for listening to the Cripescast. The best way to support our team includes seeing us live on tour, subscribing to our Patreon to see extended cuts, deleted scenes, behind the scenes footage, early access to tickets, exclusive Patreon content, and more. Or check out manitowalkminute.com because it is beanie weather, ladies and gentlemen. We've got new Barron's Old Fashioned Brandy beanies in a fetching brandy brown, might I add. And we are continuing to sell just great items, including all of our Watch Out for Deer line, our Tell Your Folks I Says Hi. We got sweatshirts, t-shirts, cribbage boards, the whole deal. Check it out over at manitowalkminute.com. And without further ado, ladies and gents, let's get back to my conversation with Kathleen Madigan. Are you a fan of the casinos? Is that your...
To work them or to be a person?
No, to be I take my grandma to the casinos, and the slot machines in particular is kind of what I want to talk about here. Are you a fan of the slot machines yourself?
Well, I'm totally over the top into video poker, but the new slot machines, and I mean these like anime ones or whatever, where there's like 50 lines, like I don't even know what's going on. And my mom goes, Mom, I don't even understand what I'm going for here. She goes, I don't either. That's the fun part. I'm like, well, I'd kind of like to know what I'm rooting for. I do not like the new. I'm the lady that goes in and goes, don't you have an old school Wheel of Fortune?
Yes.
I don't want a digital one. And I know I'm just going to get run out of Dodge on this one because every new casino I go to, that's all they have. And I just can't. I'm like, video poker, though, they can't really upgrade that any more than it's already been upgraded. So a video poker bar with like Sunday football on. It's perfect. Yes, I could be there. I mean, literally for hours and hours and hours. But so would my brother. So would my mom and dad. So would my sister. Like everybody's all in on, and Missouri's got, well, a lot of casinos now, which is weird because we have that, but we can't bet online. You can't do DraftKings. You can in Tennessee.
Right.
But weed's not legal here. But weed is legal in Missouri, but you can't gamble. So you can be high, but you can't gamble. And here you can be a gambling addict, but you can't be high. It's so stupid.
It is.
But yeah, I mean, and I love the casino gigs too, because those people are usually in a good mood. They're excited to be at the casino. The casinos require no work for us. They're not saying, hey, get up and go on this radio station. They throw a billboard up. They spend money. And they don't seem to really, I mean, I sell the tickets, so I don't know what would happen if I didn't. I haven't seen that side of it, thankfully, yet. Probably just not book you back, but I mean, there's 9 million Indian casinos. And I'm not even exaggerating. Yeah. You just got to find them.
There is a ton of them. And I go, every time I have a casino show, my grandma, she'll call me and she'll be like, what's going on with this show? She'll come with her friend Lois. And I remember we went to the show at North Star Casino. We're out. I do my show. I think I had 2 shows. So it was a late thing. I went to bed. I assume they went to bed. My aunt texted me at 12 saying, just rolling grandma up to bed. She was in a wheelchair, just being rolled up to bed. And she was like, me and Lois, my grandma's 86-year-old friend, we're going to go out and keep gambling if you want to come. And I was like, I'm good. I'm like wiped out. I'm tired. I found out they stayed up till 3 a.m. gambling.
Wow.
And I was like, you guys, like an 86-year-old woman and, you know, a 60-some-year-old woman, they were just partying it up. And it's those slot machines for like 65, 70 plus, in that age range. It's like TikTok for the younger generation. You know, I feel like it's got that same dopamine kick, you know?
And I've also seen the old people, like my mom came out, I did a bunch, I don't know, like 4 shows in Vegas at I think it was the Mirage. And, she said, well, do you want to get up and have breakfast? I said, all right, what time? She goes, well, I was thinking about 5. And I'm like, what? 5 for breakfast? Mom, I don't even know if anything's open. Her theory is you have to get to the slots by 6 because they've been loaded all night. And this is when it's really going to pop. And what's crazy, they have these strategies. What's crazy is if half the time she's right. Like there's these old people down there hitting royal flushes and then on their Wheel of Fortune, whatever, $1,000. Like they're just cleaning up our mess. That's what I feel like. And they're not necessarily wrong a lot of the time.
That's like talking about fishing. We gotta get up before the bite, you know?
Right.
We gotta be there right at the time. Yeah. And some of them tap the glass after they hit the thing. They tap the glass like this, you know? I don't know what that's for.
I don't either. There's a lot of weird superstitions though. Like I can't play next to anybody playing Keno. That noise literally will make my head fucking explode. And they're never bothered by it.
No.
Like the video poker bar, a lot of those machines, you can change the game. So like if somebody comes up and plays blackjack, fine. That's not doing that. You'll be playing video poker, having a wonderful time, and then that Keno person shows up, and it's like, oh my god, how is that not just making your head want to blow off? But that's when I'll move. As soon as a Keno person comes, I'm out. Yep. But that's more because I'm annoyed by the noise. It's not really a superstition as much as I am annoyed. This was a great. So I did a casino in Riverside, Iowa. And my mom and dad, for like 10 years, they stalked my schedule for casinos that they could drive to. And then they would just show up for the weekend, which was fun. And I mean, it was fine. You stalk me all you want, whatever. They just go, we need a room. I'm like, no problem. I can get you a room. Well, the Cardinals were in that wasn't the World Series yet. It must have been the divisional playoffs. And I had my show and they're at the video poker bar. And I go, you guys, the show's gonna, and it was like tied. I think we were playing Boston. It was like 2-2. Tony La Russa was the coach. It was that long ago. And my dad goes, well, your mom's got a hot machine and the Cardinals are tied 2-2. Is there any way you could do all your new jokes at the end? And I go, no, Dad, I'm not going to rearrange my act because you have a gambling problem and the Cardinals, I do it good. I want to watch the Cardinals too, but unfortunately I have to work right now. And I go, I don't care if you ever see my act. I'll do it. I'll do it in your room for you if you want. Well, I do feel an obligation. I said, well, don't. I don't care. I literally do not care if your mom ever come in that showroom again in your lives. You know what's going on in there. It's the same shit, just more of it. So they never came to the show. My mom's machine was good. And this is when I knew I had a gambling problem too. There's this older comedian, Kenny Rogerson, out of Boston, and he's super fun. And we were at the MGM, and there was a big boxing match when boxing was the thing, not UFC. It was like a Tyson fight against somebody out back, and I think it was when he bit his ear off, and Holyfield, and all hell went loose, and there was shooting in the casino, and I could hear it. It was
really?
At the MGM Grand. Yeah, it was at the MGM.
Same night?
Yeah, and Kenny goes, me and Kenny were at the video poker bar. Kenny goes, that was a gun, right? I go, yeah, but it sounded like way over there. It didn't sound like I feel like it's contained to the Wizard of Oz bar. There was this big bar called the Wizard of Oz bar. I go, I think we should keep playing unless it gets closer. Then, we had just gotten beers. I already gotten like 4-8s. I'm like, I'm finally fun of the machine. I'm not leaving. So we didn't leave.
This is the same conversation when you're out in a boat, the crappies are biting, and you hear thunder, and you're like, I didn't see lightning yet, right?
Yeah, it's way
Did you
over there.
see the lightning? Yeah.
And then I would always think, is Stevie Nicks' song right? Thunder only happens when it's raining, and then lightning something. And I'm like, I shouldn't be licking to Stevie Nicks for science. I'm like a cave lady that just knows nothing. I know nothing about any of that. I know I won't leave till I see lightning. If the fish are biting, I'm not. Thunder could be miles away.
Oh yeah, yeah. And by the way, I'm making these decisions in the worst boat imaginable, like a Miro craft, a full just a metal boat. My feet are in an inch of water in the boat at this point, as I'm making these, like this isn't like a rubber lined or a plastic lined boat, But
then I'd always think I have my old shitty fishing tennis shoes on and the bottom's rubber. So will that stop it all? I don't know.
But if the crappies are biting enough, you'll roll the dice,
Yeah.
What's your favorite fish to catch?
Bass. I love crappie fishing, like with my nieces and nephews, because we could just sit on the dock and pull out 100 of them.
Yeah.
But bass for sure. But this is where I have my Midwest disconnect. I don't understand the fishing like in Michigan.
Yeah.
Or Wisconsin. Like, I don't know anything about pike or walleye. And I caught a pike in Scotland once, and it was a fun fight. So I think that would probably be fun.
Yeah.
But we never, I don't know. I feel like that's where Missouri does get southern. People are catfishing. I don't want to do that ever. Have you ever heard one actually meow? It's terrifying. That where they are on the dock just going meow, meow. I'm like, oh my God, they really do that. The little fish for the kids, but like the boat I have is a bass boat. Like my brother-in-law's is more of a deep V, like he likes northern, like Canadian fishing and stuff. I don't understand anything about any of that. I would like to learn. I don't know how to fly fish. It's not really a thing in Missouri. Yeah. It looks fun, but it also looks like a lot of work. Bass fishing, I'm in the boat I want to be casting. I don't like the sedentary. Like I went striper fish. No, I didn't like that at all. Like you just drive the boat. Well, and now you're cheating because you can see it all on GPS. If there's a whole school of fish, then you just drop your line and pull them out. I'm like, well, that was kind of cheating.
I first of all, I love bass fishing. I hear you on that. There's nothing more fun than, catching a bass. That's the fight is unmatched, but until maybe you get up to like a northern or a muskie, and those are, but the jumping and everything, like you don't need to catch a big bass to have it like just jump up and all that sort of stuff and have it be a fun fight. But I'm with you on are you talking about the live scopes where they like put those in and they're like, yeah, we got fish right there? Or are you talking about trolling?
Yeah, no, it's not trolling. You're actually in a spot. Now, where the skill does come in, like there's a lake in Georgia I went, Lake Lanier, and with this guy who knows the lake very well. He knows what he's doing. So he's got a striper boat, and then he turns on a GPS and he thinks he knows where the schools of fish are. And we pull up, and if you could just see it on the GPS if they're there, and then he helps you drop your lines because I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, you catch on pretty quick, and then we all just catch a fish and we leave because the school of fish leaves. And I'm like, well, the rest of the time though, we're doing nothing. Drinking, which is fun, but I'd like to be drinking and fishing.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's kind of not a lot of activity.
I'm with you. The game of fishing has changed because you go out with these live scopes now where you get out there and you put this thing in the water and you're like, yeah, I can see it right there. And then you're like, cast right there. Right. And then you got the person who owns the live scope like critiquing your retrieve. They're like, slow it down. No. I'm like, dude, I'm not playing a video game here. I don't know if you know this. I'm not really here to catch a fish. That's
right. We should start there. That should have been the conversation when I got in the boat.
Right.
Like I just want to do stuff.
Yeah.
I want to cast the line, and I'll take the sedentary stuff on the dock for crappie because with kids there's 90 million things going on of fixing their hook and they get the minnows. That there's always something to do. But the ones where we just I don't know, even the trolling, deep sea fishing, I've gone a lot. I never know really what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't really care that I don't know, but like. All of a sudden the pole will go crazy. And then there's, two guys coming to, even if it's you, it doesn't, not just cause I'm small. I mean, they're just coming to help. And I literally would have a cow could be on the end of that line. That's how much I don't know about what the fuck I'm catching.
Yeah.
I can pull anything out. And the surprise is fun where you're like, oh, it's a baby swordfish. Look at that. But it's a lot of trolling and being sunburnt and drinking, which is fun. That's just not what I would prefer. I would take it over any other activity that day. But
I want to do a show called Fish Finders, where it's two people in one old shitty boat without any fish finders, and then
that'd be good.
Yeah, you have to film for a long time. It's really probably a podcast where you just barely ever catch a fish, But I mean, you can catch a ton of you can catch a lot of fish that way. That's usually how I fish, and you do catch fish. It's just some days you catch nothing, but that's okay.
But that's usually the weather, I feel like.
That's certainly what I blame it on. Yeah. Whatever the weather is, I make it up. I'm like, the pressure changes,
Well, it rained yesterday and now they're down. They don't want to come back up because they're afraid there's going to be another storm. I put so many thoughts in a fish's head that it like if the fish could hear that, they'd be like, lady, it's just not that intricate.
I just
to me, I'm just not hungry. That's all there is to it. Yeah. And your lure sucks. I'm not falling for that shit. Get a different lure.
That's hilarious. So I want to bring this up before we end, and that's your kind of big Catholic family. Did you guys all grow up fishing and like spending time like I guess you guys would be down in the Ozarks, right?
Yeah.
Doing
Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah,
that was the big. That's when I hear like my nieces and nephews, the older ones, they're like, oh, they're going on spring break to like Aruba. I'm like, wow, that really kicks the shit out of Lake of the Ozarks, I guess. Like we never really left We didn't even go fishing like in Illinois. I remember my younger brother said one of his friends was going to Illinois, and my dad's like, well, say goodbye to him. Like he's going to Europe. I'm like, Illinois is right there, Dad. It's 5 minutes over a bridge. We live in St. Louis. It's not like, so we didn't even really go to other lakes. We were just always at that lake. And there's always a billion, and hunting too, but I didn't ever do that. They're deer hunters, and they, they're really like all of November. Like there was this comic who was having a baby, and he took off a month because he didn't know when the baby was going to be born. And I said to my sister, I go, yeah, I lost my opening act because of a baby thing. And I remember my dad saying to my mom, if you have the baby during deer season, I won't be here. Like, and he meant it. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. My Uncle Jimmy's wife had the baby, and he told her she'd have to get a ride home because deer season wasn't over. And she did.
Are you kidding me? She got a taxi from the hospital?
No, a friend came and got her,
friend.
just call your sister. Call your sister. The baby's going to be the same when I get there on Sunday night versus Saturday. I mean, we just got the tree stand set up. What are you, crazy? I'm like, you guys did that. You could have looked at a calendar and went, you're in charge of that, kind of. You have a big vote, but at least there's no fishing season per se. So my dad couldn't get out of crap for that. But yeah, and that's why I was like, wow, I missed my calling. Like down here, I'm on a lake, Old Hickory Lake in Nashville, and they have a fishing team for high school. Like it's on the local news. It's on the local news. Like the Old Hickory fishing team brought in 27 bass and this and that. And I'm like, wow, we did not, in St. Louis, we didn't have a fishing team.
Yeah.
But we also don't really have see, I would think Wisconsin would.
No, I mean, they might be some I'm sure in Wisconsin there is. Not, I grew up in the Milwaukee suburbs, and I went to high school in Milwaukee. There wasn't one there, so that might have just been like a city thing. Yeah, you're not out in the. But none of my family's out in places where if a fishing team existed, they would probably have been on it. I don't know if anyone was on there, but I guess I don't know that factually enough, But when you guys went on like vacations and stuff, like my family, we had 12 kids, so we would go like up north Wisconsin. Yeah, and it was all in one car. So, you have. But we would go like for a week. That was our vacation every year. And it was great. We would go like to this cabin, and we'd fish or whatever. Is that kind of what you guys did? Like, did you do that like a vacation like that once a year? Or was it you would go for a weekend or something like that?
Well, we would go for weekends when we could, but then the big vacation was like a whole week. And then you knew you could like settle down and like, because I don't know, there's like I think fishing, it has addictive qualities, and I can get addicted to stuff that if I thought it was only a Friday, Saturday, I just wouldn't sleep. I'm like, well, then I have to fish every minute I'm here because you're constraining my time. I'll figure out how to night fish. I don't care if there's snakes. I'll figure it out. But a whole week I could at least relax more. And then maybe once every 4 years, maybe we would go to Florida. But that was 7 kids in the car, all station wagon with both my parents chain smoking in the front seat, by the way, Kents and Cools. And then we'd be like, hey, can we open a window? My dad's like, no, I'm not letting the air conditioning out. Okay. Well, it was like studio. It looked like Studio 54 in the back seat. You could just vaguely see other people. There was so much fucking smoke. But I don't know. I never minded it. I guess it just got a little foggy after a while. You're like, but the kids, we did have control over that back window in a station wagon. We could put that down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that would be like my dad was a lawyer and he was self-employed. So if he settled a big giant case, it always depended on if he won something big, and then we could go on a big, but Florida was it. And it was in the car, and there's one activity you can choose. It was either Disney World or deep sea fishing. I voted deep sea fishing. I got voted out, and I fucking had to go to Disney World in 110 degree heat with a sunburn that was so bad I had blisters on me. I'm like, there's just nothing fun about this. Nothing. I just want to go home. To see Wisconsin, all we hear about down here. My cousin used to go to Wisconsin to the Dells. And I don't know anything about that. Like, I should go do that. Like the Missouri people, there's a chunk of Missouri people that go, oh no, we go to Wisconsin in the summer, and they go to the Dells somewhere and they fish and goof off. And I'm like, well, I don't know enough about that.
Well, I think that the Wisconsin Dells, you're saying you've never been.
No, I've never been.
Oh, well, you're filming your special in Milwaukee, right? Your
Yes,
next special.
Yes.
I feel like, you know what? That's a big accomplishment. You got to treat yourself. Maybe the weekend before, when you want to, kind of get in the zone, you go get a nice room at the Kalahari and you relax a little bit. And it's got, I'll tell you what it's got. It's got the most water slides per capita in the entire world. And there's a museum of historic torture devices. So there's
I would like that. Yeah, I would like that.
There's an upside down White House. It is just like, I don't think you've ever seen culture. Anything like that. It is
it's culture.
Yeah. We've said enough right there. It is culture. It's kind of like yeah, one of the most beautiful places on the earth. No, really, it's this interesting spot where it combines like all these like kitschy things with like some of the most beautiful surroundings. Like you got the lofts or the bluffs and all that sort of stuff. It's gorgeous, but I recommend it. But hey, why did real quick? I know we're running close on time here, but why did you choose to film your special in Wisconsin this go around?
Well, I do love Milwaukee, and I love that I can tour the Miller Lite thing every time, and then at the end go, "Can I taste Miller Lite?" Which I've already had 7 million in my life, but I don't know. Maybe you change the recipe. I just like the two biggest reasons are the people at the Pabst Theater are actually happy to have you, and you can feel that rather than like I'm a pain in somebody's ass, and they don't want to. I have felt that on other specials in other cities that don't need to be named, but where you just feel like, oh, they don't want to do any of this. This is a pain in their ass. Well, that's not fun. The Wisconsin and that Pabst Theater is just I feel like every comic that does it just goes, I should film a special here. The crowds are great, number one. But then number two, there's something that happens with the sound there where it just is explosively great. And it's just nice to go where somebody's appreciative. And I feel most comfortable in the Midwest no matter what. I mean, that's where there's a theater in Dallas, the Majestic, that's super awesome. I would like to film there too, but Milwaukee was open and we're like, they were so like, please come. So you want somebody that's like, I know the guys that run it and, cause I work there aside from filming a special there. I mean, I'm there every 18 months and I don't know. Now they're like my friends. So it's just a good Midwest vibe. Nobody's pretentious. Nobody's a douchebag. Everybody's cool. You can stay right downtown, walk over if you want.
Beautiful green
convenient. Room. Oh, the green room is the best one in the country. It's so much fun. And they have Miss Pac-Man down there. I'm addicted to that. Like, it's amazing it's amazing I make it to the stage once I go in that green room. And I'm like, oh my God, if they still allowed smoking and I still smoke cigarettes, I would never leave this place. Like, that would be the defining reason. I would be like, there's somebody making coffee over there. Who does that?
Yeah, they have a whole coffee bar.
Yeah, and without my requesting, they just set out this tray with this potpourri of cheeses they're so proud of. And then they can tell you which each one, because if I go to that Milwaukee public market, tell me what these cheeses are so I can go get them and bring them home. And they know everything because they're proud of it. It's great. Yeah. And I love cheese. So carbs all the way.
Shout out to the Paps. That is a fantastic club. Well, and if people, I have one more question, but before we get to that, if people want to buy tickets to that, is up for sale? Is it ready to rock and roll?
It is. Yeah, it's for sale. Okay. It's on my website. And go to the website. Like, sometimes my sister will call me and go, why are your tickets in Pittsburgh $450?
I get the same question. Yeah,
they're not. You tell Aunt Lois that she clicked on a resale site. If you're dumb enough to pay $450, that's on you. I don't do that. My tickets are anywhere from 35 to at the very most 59, and I make sure of that. I'm very aware what the tickets are. But it is confusing. I mean, sometimes when you start clicking, it looks real. It'll say like Last Nation, instead of Live Nation. And there's a lot of bullshit on it. That's why I'm like, look, I'm not plugging my own website. I don't make money on my website. I'm saying that's where the real ticket link is. And those are the real tickets. So everybody should do that for every show, even if it's music or whatever. Try not to, unless you have to.
No, I totally agree with that. Final question, and we do this with every episode, is what makes you say cripes? Okay, so it could be like a pet peeve or something, but it's like, cripes, What makes you kind of say that? What grinds your gears, annoys you?
Well, the Keno person, for sure. The Keno player. That's like, no. I think, and this sounds antisocial, and I'm not, it's the over talker on the airplane that I don't know. Oh. And it is not picking up on any of the social cues. Like, I've got earbuds in. Like, one guy took my earbud out to tell me that the kid in Home Alone was left alone. And I'm like, yeah, that's the title of the movie. The kid is left alone. And he just went, I can't believe that. But why did you wake me up for that? Like, why did you? Yeah, like, I'll talk if you're normal. But there's just a lot of people that clearly haven't had anybody to talk to in a while. And they get on a plane and they're super jacked up to be going to wherever. And then there's a lot of, Like, I know how much snowfall there was in 1992 in Minnesota, because this lady went through every year of snowfall in Minnesota.
Those are the people that like specifically request the middle seat so they have two shots at talking someone's ear off.
And there's so many social cues now. Like, before, you just used to have a book and nothing, right? Like, there was nothing to tell the other person. Now we've got a lot, and then we need to tell people, these are signs. Put that sign up in the airport. These are signs your seatmate just wants to go to sleep, or just doesn't want to talk, or has something to do. Maybe they have a work email they need to answer. I guess that would be because if it's a long flight, that could actually be like torturous. Yeah. And it's happened. Yeah. So, I guess I have a friendly enough face that they feel comfortable. This lady looks fine. Yeah. She'll talk.
At some point, you just got to kind of lean into that, though. Like, if those social cues aren't working, I think you got to double down on whatever they're saying and take it to a much weirder place,
I never thought about doing that. My go-to is I got to go to the bathroom, and then I hope they're asleep by the time I get back, but they're not. No,
they've ordered a coffee and a Jack and Coke. They are ready to go. They came up with topics while you were gone.
Yes, exactly. That would probably be my second one that I have to deal with on a weekly basis.
Well, real good. Well, I hope wherever you're flying next, you can fly in peace, and I hope the bass are biting, and good luck in Milwaukee. That'll be great.
I'm excited. Yeah. By the way, this is a tourist tip too. Everybody should go. I've been going to Milwaukee for 100 years, but I never went to that Pabst Mansion deal, and you can tour that, and it's like $20 or whatever, and it is awesome. I told my brother, I know you're with all your guy friends and you're going to be drunk and gambling and going to a baseball game, but if there's an hour where you're sober and you got nothing else to do, it's an Uber ride from a hotel downtown, like 10 minutes. And it's like one of the Gilded Age on that main street. I don't know what street I don't remember the street name, but it is fucking awesome. It's an awesome little tour, and you don't even have to go necessarily with somebody. You can just go on your own if you want. It's just a little tourist shout out if you're going to Milwaukee.
I'm glad you said that, because my cousin actually had, I think his rehearsal dinner there, or somewhere in that area, and we went and did the tour as part of it, and it's just incredible. You get that history of like Milwaukee and its place during sort of when the beer was booming, Prohibition was around. Yeah. You got tunnels, you got you just like get a sense. You go back to like in time, really, and you almost start thinking you're in like some HBO miniseries on like booze in the early 1900s. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was like, you get to meet the king at the time. He was the king of Milwaukee. Like, that's our version of royalty. It's right. Mr. Pabst. There's Mr. Pabst and his golden carriage, and he sounded like a very nice guy on the tour too. Very very generous. gave away a lot of money and stuff. So good for him.
Yeah.
Travel tip, Midwest travel tip. That's what I got.
I love it.
For you.
Well,
right.
Huge fan of you. Thank you so much for coming on. And tell Brian I say hi when you're golfing with him.
I will tell little Dorf you said hello.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you later, Gator. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. That's it for this week. Make sure you follow Kathleen at official Kathleen Madigan or on X, it's at Kathleen Madigan. Check out our website, KathleenMadigan.com for tour dates, tickets, including tickets to her special taping at the Pabst Theater in Milwaukee in April. Guys, I cannot recommend this enough. Get out there, support Kathleen. You're not going to regret it. All right. Thank you to everybody for listening. Thanks to Colleen Maraca and Hannah Milos for producing and editing. And everybody keep her moving out there and watch for deer. Bye-bye.
So roll out the barrel and get the band brewing. Life's got you down, just keep her moving. It's on Wisconsin, the Badgers say it's the old Wisconsin Jubilee.
You know, sometimes when you're ice fishing, you put your foot in the walleye hole and go ass over tea kettle and you think you're done. No, you gotta keep her moving.